I'm John of Godless Engineering Digital Media, and this is
Sand.
And we're gonna go and check out a natural science museum today. It's local to our town, and we've been here before, and we've noticed some weird things inside the museum. So we're gonna go in, and we're just gonna take a little look around and see if they've changed anything since the last time we were here. And I'm the Godless Engineer, and I'm going to provide you with some information on a few things that we saw in the museum, because guess what? I'm not a giant cunt that is going to stand in the middle of a museum and critique it like a giant asshole. So please just take a look at me and my son going around a little bit and looking at some of the animals and enjoy my son a little bit. He's not on camera a lot and he's quite cute.
We've seen them before.
Yeah, we have, haven't we?
And these guys. And these. And that.
Oh, look at this guy.
We haven't seen him.
No. See, what is he? Whistling swan? Yep, whistling swan.
We have seen those guys before.
Yeah, those guys look cold, don't they?
Look. Have you seen them?
Oh, I would think so. Northern shoveler ducks.
What's that guy up there?
He's a Canada goose. Yep. Man, look at these guys. Wild turkeys.
I wouldn't mess with a wild turkey.
Would you not?
Nope. Look up there. Look at that dude.
I know.
He looks.
Whoa. Look at this guy. It's an American alligator.
Oh, whoa. Look how big his mouth is.
I know.
Will he eat?
Oh, and look. A snapping turtle. Isn't that cool?
Mm-hmm. Oh, look at that.
I know. Yeah.
Not all the way back.
Hey, look. Let's see, black snake. Oh, correct. Can't even tell what that is. Hey, come here. Look. Oh, look, you got it. Good job.
Wait! Is that the bar?
Yeah, how do you look? Hey, come here. Oh, wow.
I'm trying to figure out the answer.
Oh, you got it.
I picked the same ones. Look. I picked the same ones.
Yeah. Look at this bear.
What's he eating?
Honey. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed my son. He's fabulous. Here are some links to a couple videos of him. He's all around fantastic, and I hope that in the future he'll still want to take part in some of these videos. Again, I hope you enjoy him as much as I enjoy him, obviously. Now, there are, like I said, a few things, exactly 3 things that I want to cover in this video. Critique of this quote-unquote natural science museum that is local here in my town. The first thing is kind of minor, and it's really just a small annoyance. But it's these Bible verses that are attached to these various displays. And if you'll notice in this video, I kind of highlight each of these little stands that have these Bible verses on them and what they say. And of course, what they're trying to do is they're trying to tie like the actual display of the animal or the fossil or you know the specimen to like something that it says in the Bible, as if to somehow validate the Bible in some kind of way. But you know, that really doesn't validate it at all. That doesn't say anything about it at all, because of course, you know, the animals existed way before the Bible existed, so it doesn't mean anything at all. It's just them pushing their religious propaganda in a natural science museum. Now, the reason why this is just a nuisance and why I just roll my eyes at it and I just grunt a little bit is because this is a privately funded museum. This isn't a public museum. I'm not highlighting this museum because I want it to change. I'm not saying that they need to change. I'm not like starting a petition for them to change. I don't have a problem with them having their religious propaganda spilled all over this quote-unquote science museum. I don't have a problem with it because it's privately funded. The company that owns it, maintains it, and is actually moving it to a better location is a Christian company. So, I mean, that's fine. I do roll my eyes at it, though. And it does bother me a little bit when I go to a science museum. I want to look at science and not religious propaganda. Of course, religious people go to science museums and they claim that evolution is religious propaganda and whatnot. But it's just not, because it's fact. I mean, you say that you can't observe evolution, but we can. There's actual science experiments that high school students can go through where, you know, they've frozen bacteria at various stages and you can see them evolving. You can actually see the bacteria evolving. Of course, they only want to say that it's adaptation, but that's complete bullshit, because that adaptation is actually them evolving, because evolution is you know, change over time, and that's exactly what it fucking is. That doesn't suit their Bible, though, so they have to call it something else, and so they go with adaptation, and they say adaptation isn't evolution. Fucking bullshit. Anyways, back to the subject at hand, these little religious passages attached to these various displays, they just make me roll my eyes, and they bother me a little bit, but ultimately they just get a grunt, just a from me. And, you know, why do they have to put that there? But it's their choice. It's their privately funded museum. It's their choice to put it there. Now, what I do have a very big problem with is them propagating misinformation. I have a very big problem with them stating things that are not facts, that are not scientific facts, and that are just blatantly wrong. That should not be in a science museum. Of course, a lot of people say that the Bible is wrong as a whole. So, I mean, I guess there might be an argument there. But, I mean, ultimately, the passages, they're not trying to say anything with the passages. They just had the passages littered throughout. But what I'm about to show you are blatantly wrong. Like, just completely wrong. Okay, so, number one thing that is wrong is this motherfucker.
Nothing turtle.
Hey Xander, is that a real dinosaur up there? Actually, it's not. Yeah, that's right. They got a fucking Brontosaurus in the goddamn Natural Science Museum. What the fuck is this motherfucker doing there? That is not a dinosaur. That has never been a dinosaur. And if you don't know that it's not a dinosaur, I'm about to clue you in on why it's not. Okay, so the story of the Brontosaurus goes back about 130 years, and it's pretty much the result of a feud between two scientists, O.C. Marsh and Edward Drinker Cope. And basically these two had a dick measuring contest for who could put out the most insane and basically the most quantity of dinosaur names. Who could discover the most dinosaurs? And so it was a big fucking race, a big dick measuring contest. It got to the point where sometimes they were even destroying bones so that the other person couldn't fucking find them. In the middle of these bone wars, O.C. Marsh just had to get that extra inch in on this dick measuring contest. And he found this set of bones, right? And so he waited a few years and he wanted to publish them and he wanted to name it. And so what he did was he got a skull from another dinosaur and he just plucked that fucker right on top of it and he named it Apatosaurus. And what ended up happening was later on, another more complete skeleton was found, and he named that Brontosaurus. So what you have is these two skeletons that are pretty much the same thing, except one of them has a skull on it that's fucked up and doesn't need to be there. Now you might be asking yourself, well, why did the Brontosaurus stay around for so long? Because it's even prevalent, you know, today. Obviously, because of this motherfucker right here in this goddamn museum that's supposed to be a science museum when they can't even fucking use Google, apparently. Brontosaurus means thunder lizard, and that just sounds cool as shit, doesn't it? Apatosaurus means deceptive lizard. That sounds less appealing, doesn't it? You don't want to be deceived, do you? You don't want to sound like you're a fucking dumbass and you've just been totally led astray. That sounds too much like Christianity, doesn't it? The beauty of me doing this is that I knew Brontosaurus didn't exist. I had heard that before. I hadn't done the research though. So I had to come home and do the research. And guess what? It only took me a whopping minute and a half. And that's a minute and a half getting in the door, sitting my ass down, Googling it, and clicking on one of the first links that's on the goddamn page. Now the third and final thing that I have a problem with at this fucking museum that's local to me, that really pissed me off, that is just fucking unbelievable that a science museum would even have. How are fossils formed? Most scientists agree that flooding provides the best way to start forming fossils. The load of sediment kills the creature and keeps its remains together. Often the soft parts rot away, leaving only the hard parts like teeth, bones, shells, and wood. As the sediment that traps the life turns into rock, parts of the once living plants and animals become like rock. They absorb minerals and they say they become petrified. The flood, described in the Bible, helps scientists to explain how fossils are formed, why they are found all over the world, why fossils come in groups, and why so many things have died out since Noah's time. This is in a science museum. Why the fuck is this in a science museum? The flood does not explain shit about fossils. It just simply doesn't. It sounds a whole lot like what's in Ken Ham's coloring book. Yeah, I bought it. I bought it because it was like $3 plus shipping and handling, so it was about $5. And it was used. There's no way I'm buying it new. I'm not supporting that fuck. Okay, so there are 7 ways that things can be fossilized. And I'm going to kind of give you a brief overview of how they can be fossilized. While some of them might be explained by a flood, might be explained by sediment and water and whatnot, quickly covering them with mud and whatnot, not all of them would account for this. Not only that, but the fossil record does not account for this. We don't see it in the fossil record. And if it were to have happened like that, if it were so easily to create fossils, then we would find a whole lot more fossils. I mean, we already find a good number of fossils, but if you think about the sheer number of dinosaurs that would have existed back then, like if you think about the sheer numbers of animals that exist now, I mean, the same number of dinosaurs, you know, would have existed back then. It's not like they were scarce, you know. I mean, they were the dominant species on this planet, and so we would find a whole lot more fossils than we actually do. The first method is permineralization.
So in post-production of this particular audit, I caught that in this particular explanation of fossilization, I didn't exactly explain it very well. And while I probably could have left it as I had originally recorded it, it bugged me enough to where I felt like I had to change it with this audio recording and my fugly face in that weird-ass position. So, peramineralization is basically when the sediment comes in and fills the empty spaces, and it creates a shadow, basically, of the organism. The organic material decays and is totally void of the fossil, and you're not really getting the original shape or anything like that of the organism, but what you're getting is the shape of the empty spaces within the organism, like in the bones, in the cell walls and whatnot. So you're not really getting the original shape of the organism. You're just pretty much getting a shadow of it.
Now, the next type of fossilization is called casts and molds. Sometimes when an organism is engulfed and you know, the sediment starts to harden and whatnot and the fossil starts to form, the organism is destroyed. And so that is called an external mold of the organism. But if the external mold is filled with some kind of mineral or something, then it is called a cast of it. And so you get kind of this shape of the organism. The next type of fossilization is called authigenic mineralization. And what this is if the chemistry is just right in the certain area that this fossil forms, then you can actually get a very fine 3D model of the organism. So it's a very specialized version of the cast and mold type of fossilization. And basically what happens is the organism acts as a nucleus, and the elements or the minerals around it are chemically form this 3D model. They're able to they're basically able to, in a very detailed way, provide you with a very, very fine fossil, just because it's a chemical reaction that happens on a cellular level. And so you get these fantastic fossils. The next type of fossilization is called replacement and recrystallization. Replacement and recrystallization, what that basically is the organic tissue of an organism is slowly replaced with another mineral. And so if this is done slowly enough, then you can get very fine fossils. You can get very detailed fossils if it's done slowly enough. Now, shells can be considered to be recrystallized when there are still some elements of the shell that still exist, but they're in a different crystal form. The next type of fossilization is called adepression, which is compression and impression. Now, what this is it happens to like ferns and plant life, and basically it's when the original source material or source organic material still exists, but it's geochemically transformed into this film. And it causes an impression on the surrounding fossilizing material, like whatever that might be. And sometimes, though, the material is lost; it's just gone. And so, in that point, it's just an impression. Now, if you happen to break open a rock, and you get both the impressions of the organic material and the organic material itself, even though it's geochemically changed, then that is called a compression, because you still have that source organic material in there. The next type of fossilization are called carbon films. Basically, these are just very fine films of the chemical element carbon. The organic tissues of organisms are made primarily of organic carbon, and during the fossilization process, only a thin film of this chemical carbon element is left over, and what it does is it leaves this silhouette of the tissue or animal in general behind. And the final type of fossilization is called bioimmuration. Basically, and I hope I'm not butchering this, but basically what this is when a skeletal organism is overgrown by another organism, like another plant life or something like that, like a coral or something like that. But it's overgrown by it, and it leaves kind of this imprint of it, of the skeletal system. And so the actual original organism decays and whatnot, but an impression of it is left. So you can see the impression of it later, and that is, that's the fossil. Some of these fossilization techniques might have occurred during a worldwide flood. But despite the other flaws in this worldwide flood theory, the fossil record just doesn't show a worldwide flood happening. If a worldwide flood did happen, then the fossil record would show animals trying to climb up. They would show them trying to get away from the water, but that's not what we see in the fossil record. Not only that, but since the worldwide flood is this evenly distributed thing across the entire world that supposedly happened in such a short amount of time and killed a lot of animals, you would think that there would be more well-preserved animals. Because if the worldwide flood perfectly explains why we find fossils now, and they provided such a perfect environment for fossils to be formed, then you would think that we would find way more fossils than we actually do. And so the amount of fossils that we find just doesn't support this whole worldwide flood idea. And so it really does boggle my mind that this quote-unquote science museum would have this there when there's no science to support it. There's only a book that was written 2,000 years ago by ignorant sheep herders. And I would have had video for this, but I ran out of room on my phone to record. So Sorry, you only have pictures. I will actually have the pictures linked below if you want to look at them. But I hope you enjoyed this video and my critique of this science museum. I hope you found me informative about the Brontosaurus, about fossilization, and about my critique on the Bible passages and how it's a private business. They can have them, and it just makes me roll my eyes. So, if you do like this video, like the information I presented, please don't forget to like down below and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Let me know below also in the comments section. That way I know that you like seeing this kind of content. Also, I'd like to point out that if you would like to support me in my efforts on this channel, if you would like to see my channel continue to get better, go to the front page. I will have a link down here to go to the front page and you can support me. I hope everybody has a good day, night, whenever you're watching this. I hope you have a good one. And as always, don't forget to...
Apatosaurus. You had a Mysaurus?